I reject a lot of the stuff that's being peddled around today about how you form and break habits. I know there's this very popular book, one that I even recommended, which talks about the science behind habits. And one of its depressing conclusions, I think this came out of Stanford, was that you can't break habits, you can only replace them. And that's BS. I've definitely broken habits completely. And so I think you can uncondition yourself, you can untrain yourself. It's just hard. So it just takes work, it takes effort. And usually the big habit changes come when there's strong desire motivators attached to them. So the yoga one I'm going to work on. I don't yet have a great plan on that one. I haven't tackled that one properly yet. A big habit that I'm working on, which is going to be really hard to explain in any way that any normal human being will understand this, but I'm trying to turn off my monkey mind. I think we are, when we're born as children, we're pretty blank slates. We're living very much in the moment, and we're essentially just reacting to our environment through our instincts. And we're living in what I would call the real world. And then when puberty comes along, that's the onset of desire. It's the first time you really, really want something, and you start long range planning for it. And then because of that, you start thinking a lot, and you start building an identity and an ego to go and get what you want. And this is all normal and healthy. It's part of being the human animal. But I think at some point it gets out of control. And then we are constantly just talking to ourselves in our heads. We're playing little movies in our heads, walking down the street, but no one's actually there. Now, of course, if you started voicing this thought in your head that you're always having, you'd be a madman and they'd lock you up. But the reality is, if you walk down the street and there are 1,000 people in the street, I think all 1,000 are talking to themselves in their head at any given point. They're constantly judging everything that they see. They're playing back movies of things that happened to them yesterday. They're living in fantasy worlds of what's going to happen tomorrow. And they're just pulled out of base reality. And that can be good when you're doing long range planning. It can be good when you're solving problems. It's good for the survival and replication machines that we are. But I think it's actually very bad for your happiness. And so, in my mind, the mind should be a servant or a tool, my master. It's not something that should be controlling me and driving me 24/7. So I've taken on this idea that I want to break the habit of uncontrolled thinking, which is hard because if I say to you, don't think of a pink elephant, I just put a pink elephant in your head. So it's an almost impossible problem. So it's more something that has to be guided by feel than guided by actual thinking or thought process. But I'm deliberately cultivating experiences, states of mind, locations, activities that will help me get out of my mind. And I know, all of society does that to some extent. In some sense, the people chasing thrills and action sports or flow states or orgasm or any of these states that people really strive to get to, a lot of these are basically just trying to get out of your own head. They're trying to get away from that voice in your head and this overdeveloped sense of self. And at the very least, I do not want my sense of self to continue to develop and become stronger as I get older. I want it to be weaker and more muted, so that I can live much more in present everyday reality and accept nature and the world for what it is, and appreciate it very much as a child would, and then not have to seek happiness through external circumstances, chasing to fit some preconceived notion that I have.